All right, this is going to be a video on how to land on the 30-foot scale model of the USS aircraft carrier, the USS Kitty Hawk aircraft carrier, rather. So a couple things that we want to note here with this aircraft. One, even though it looks like it is aiming completely down the center of the ship, versus along the center line of the flight line. Okay, it's doing a tactic called crabbing. You aim your aircraft slightly towards starboard, the right side, and you're slipping towards the left. Okay, and you're coming at it down at a pretty harsh angle. Okay, that harsh angle is very important. You literally, it's considered a controlled crash. So you're going to slam into that back section, the aft section of the aircraft carrier, pretty hard. Okay, that's when your tail hook comes in. You're aiming for catch wire number 3. The one nearest you is 1, the next one is 2. The one after that is 3, and the furthest one away from you is 4. Okay, if you miss all of those completely, you'll need to be at full speed, full throttle in order to take back off again and come back and try again. If you feather your throttle when you hit the deck, you'll likely just go off the edge of the aircraft carrier. Okay, so so a couple things to look at there. So one, you're doing the crabbing, and 2, you're coming in at a pretty strong controlled crash right into the deck. Your nose will be up. Okay, if your nose is down, your tail hook will likely be further up. So you want to keep that nose up, keep your minimum flight velocity just enough for you to maintain flight. All right, control crash down, and as soon as you hit the deck, you're going to put it into full throttle. Once you feel it stop, at that point in time, you set everything to 0. Okay. So here's a view of the catch wire being caught. On an actual aircraft carrier, it will be, it'll actually leave a spark. Hopefully we don't get any sparks on the 30-foot scale model USS Kitty Hawk, right? Okay, and this is showing an FA-18, pretty fully loaded here, landing. Looks like I see a drop tank, some other things on the pylons, the sidewinders are up and everything else. But you'll notice the nose is up off the deck. Okay, you're not landing parallel to the flight line and the flight deck. You're landing with your wheels coming down like you're going to land and stick a landing, right? If you were doing something, jumping off a building or a wall or something like that. All right, so this is very important. If for whatever reason you are not able, you do not catch any one of the 4 wires, you then need to accelerate to launch back yourself, come around and try again. Okay. Next up, we see that once you get to this point, this is usually where you wind up being at a full stop with the arresting gear still attached to your tail hook. All right, the deck crew will come back, push the aircraft slightly back, usually with a tow dolly, so we can drop and reset the arresting gear, and then park you so that you're out of that landing zone for the next aircraft coming in. All right, so here it is again, and you can see there's that catch wire he's coming at. You can see the tail hook coming out, and you can see the angle of attack on that nose pointing slightly up. All right, so here's kind of what it looks like when you're coming down on it. Okay, again, not that gradual, I'm just landing slightly. It's a controlled crash once again. And you can see also based in this photo that he is also, or she, this pilot is also aimed towards the bow, not towards the end of the flight line at the center line of the flight line, but towards the center line of the ship, which is actually going to be moving. That runway, okay, the flight line, is actually tilted or turned 9 degrees to the left. Okay, something to keep in mind. That, in essence, your landing strip is moving constantly to the side. All right, and there's some history behind it and how this was invented and why this happens now. But if you'd like to go look at it, check it out. So next up is we have A successful catch. I chose this photo because that's my former squadron right there, VFA 22, the Fighting Redcocks, Yukbar. YCBAR stands for You Can't Beat a Redcock. All right, so onto that on CB68. All right, here's another one on CB68, same VFA 22, Fighting Redcocks. This is what's called the CAG bird. It'll be sometimes referred to as balls or goose eggs. So it's usually the zero. So each squadron will have 8 to 12 aircraft, and it'll be listed as 01, 02, 03, and then depending on which squadron you are, you're either in the 100 series, 200 series, 300 series. Anyway, I digress. I think this was 350,000th catch on the USS Nimitz, if I'm thinking correctly. All right, here you can see that aggressive angle of attack again. All right, you can see that the FA-18 there, gears are down, tail hooks down, and you can see it aimed kind of slightly towards the right there. Now, this is where we call this the crotch. Do you see, if you see the yellow stripe kind of thing falling down towards the bottom, okay, that right there, that's considered the crotch, okay, and that's what you're aiming for. It's slightly right, or it's just right of the fantail with as the movement of the aircraft carrier is going, not the flight line. Okay, remember the flight line is 9 degrees twisted towards port. All right, so here we did it. I did it again and showing you the forward motion of the of this aircraft. Okay, it's facing towards the bow. It's moving towards going down into on the flight line. That's its actual path. It is aiming for the crotch, roughly starboard side of center line of the flight line. Okay, so about halfway between the yellow center line of the flight line and the edge white line of the flight line. Okay, here we show a 3.5-degree glide slope. Right as you get to the end, that's what you're looking for. So you're coming down at a nearly 45-degree angle. Okay, once you get to about a foot or so from the edge of the fantail, the back section of the aircraft carrier, you'll then pull your nose up, start to accelerate, and you want to follow this 3.5-degree glide slope. Okay, you're aiming for catch wire 3 there. Okay, you can see 1, 2, 3, and 4 wires. Targeted hook touchdown point is between 2 and 3. This is so you can catch wire 3. Okay, if you are in a larger aircraft or a heavier aircraft, okay, if you catch wire number 4, that could put you off the bow of the ship. Okay, and put you overboard. So if you're a larger, heavier aircraft, you'll want to probably aim for maybe 2 or even 1 if you're very heavy. Okay, so here we can show, again, I'm showing a little bit on the crab with the purple aircraft. Apologies for the stick figure drawing here, but you can see that it's crab slightly starboard. Okay, and according to the pilot's view, that means the flight line or flight deck, the landing strip, is going to be slightly to the port. Okay, but make you know, it is actually traveling along that same red line path, just facing slightly starboard. All right, now down on the ship, you can kind of see that red line, transpose or superimpose that on the red line that I've placed on the carrier. That's your flight deck. That's your landing zone area. Okay, catch wires 1, 2, 3, and 4 right there, right around, starting around where the island superstructure is, going towards the rear. Okay, the blue line is to show you what the center line of the aircraft carrier is doing. Okay, the direction it's traveling. It's moving along that blue line, that blue wire there. So that flight deck, that landing zone is constantly moving slightly off to your right. Okay, very important to understand. All right, here's a view of the angle of attack. Looks like a stealth fighter, possibly. So this is what you're looking for. You're looking to actually aim that right there just behind where the island is, the superstructure with all the gizmos on top, right? Okay, so that is where you're actually going to be landing and trying to get your tail hook to push down right about in that section. And you can see that. They often call this the magic carpet. All right, between catch wires 2 and 3, that round dot right there, that's the perfect spot. Anyway, these are the mechanics, the theory on landing on an aircraft carrier, and something you'll want to follow along as when you want to start getting your field carrier landing practice time in as well on our flight deck. Cheers, and follow me for more.